All right, all right, all right. How you doing, brother? Because it is a slow week.
Yeah. Post Super Bowl, it gets a little bit slow, but then you have the turnaround into the combine late this month, and then that gets you right into diving into free agency. So I feel like every offseason the wheels just keep turning, and you just have a slow week here and there, and then you pick it right back up.
So has everybody pretty much put past the silliness of trading Tyreek or that he's going anywhere or anything like that? Because like it would make no sense for people that are trying to save their jobs to create dead space for themselves in the offseason when they need all the space that they can get. So I'm just wondering, is that dead finally within the media?
Uh, I would hope so. And then even like, all right, Tyreek Hill does that big interview. Well, he makes the interview rounds, but one of the major ones was the interview with Kay Adams, and a great interview, incredible interviewing skills from her to get all his thoughts out of him, especially from a guy who's just a habitual troll all the time. And sure,
But did he say? I mean, did he say it with real honesty and conviction? Like, I'm saying sorry, and then
that stuff. Yeah, he's bullshitting there. Yeah, but
it's just kind of like that's my problem with it. It's hard. It's blah blah blah. I don't really buy any of it from him. That's my problem.
Yeah.
When he talks about himself as a leader, you're not a leader, dude. You run the wrong routes. You drop footballs in key moments. You do stupid shit off the field on a consistent basis. You say stupid shit on the field, in the locker rooms, in social media. You're a distraction on every single level that there is. Where are you a leader? You are not anywhere near a leader. So just it just falls on deaf ears, at least for me.
Yeah, that stuff. I get you. But I would just notice a couple times during that interview, Tyreek would be like, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me that," and it was almost like, "Oh, he was just expecting softballs from Kay," and then she went and got the stuff that everyone wanted to hear, and really his first public interview appearance since that post game locker room tirade that he threw at MetLife Stadium. So. Good to hear that. We had heard him on whatever, like a video game stream, which is just like him and passing.
He was on PFT also, and
he made the rounds. This Friday for on Super Bowl Radio Row. But how did we get there again?
I just
if we can get over him being traded, right. So I hope so.
And part two is why believe any of the bullshit this week?
Yeah.
I mean,
as far as him getting traded, I mean, I was still hearing as of the night before all these interviews that he made. Like I play on a local league softball team, and then my friends on the team are still like asking me, "All right, so what about if the Dolphins do this and trade Tyreek?" And I'm like, "Bro, like." The Dolphins cannot. They got to make it work. They gave him all those guarantees. They got to make it work with him. Chris Grier's trying to save his job, not put his team in a more difficult position to compete in 2025, and hamstrung himself with the salary cap while also losing still a hugely, immensely talented player, which you've built to run an offense that he is a primary target, and it's built around having that kind of speed on the outside. So, I hope everyone finally heard these interviews and gets the idea like, yes, okay, everyone's on the same page now. You got to make it work with Tyreek. Tyreek is over that tirade that he threw at the end of it. He knows he's got to come back and make it work, and hopefully Mike McDaniel and the coaching staff can get him in line so that they make it work. And as far as his bullshit, well, that's Tyreek, and you hope you can curtail it to some end and get him in the right mental space this season. But he's just the ultimate exciting. You just never know where he's going to go mentally.
Okay, so you said something really interesting when you answered it. You said it's an offense that's built around him, and obviously he's the centerpiece of the offense. That has to change, right? I mean, it's proven that that's a failed experiment. You cannot be led by midget wide receivers in the NFL. You need to be led by your offensive line and your running game. Your wide receivers need to complement. You need to be more dominant in the running game and possibly with your tight ends, actually, more than your wide receivers. Your wide receivers need to be the complement. The days of 1,800 yards and all those things probably should be done. You should probably be maybe both guys down in the 1,000, 1,200 area where you're running more, you're controlling the ball more, and you're capitalizing on big plays because you have brought in the defense into the box. And now you're getting more single coverage out there. Instead of being so obvious that you're a passer, become obvious that you're a runner. I think that's really the what's it called, the recipe you need, right? I mean, isn't that proven over and over again?
Yeah. Here's where I'm in between on this is that's kind of what they tried to do this past season is, okay, we're ridding ourselves of, and not from the run game perspective, they did not run the ball well. I feel like they felt they already had that because of the success they had the previous season. And then it was, all right, we're not so dependent on Tyreek Hill. Let's, after a month into the season, they start working Jonnu Smith into the offense. He ends up having a Pro Bowl season, having an all-time best Dolphins tight end season, throwing to the running back in Devon Achane. So trying to rid yourself of the dependence on Tyreek Hill and the offense being about him and the threat of him, and then working off of that with defenses so committed to stopping him. So that's where I'm in between, is that they tried to do that and then it didn't work as well. And then so now do you need to go back to highlighting Tyreek Hill? But you do need the run game and the offensive line for sure. That is the biggest area where you
never did it. So you never did it. You never did it. You've never done it. That they haven't done it since the 70s, my brother. You have never been a team that is truly committed year in and year out. Don't tell me about outliers that, 1 year Lamar Smith, 2 years Ricky Williams. Last year, Mostert had 21 touchdowns. I'm old. I'm old. Yeah, we got outliers. What? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 1 year had 1,100 yards and he had 15 touchdowns. 13 of them were from 1 yard in because it was all short yardage with Jimmy Johnson. Do you want me to continue? I can continue and pick outliers, bro. I'm old. Yeah, that happens every once in a while that are running. They have never ever really committed to being a running team like what you see from Pittsburgh, what you see from Baltimore, what you see from teams that commit themselves. Green Bay, no matter what quarterback they've had over the years, they have committed themselves over the years to the running game. Always there. They don't do that here, bro. They just don't do that here. So I disagree with you wholeheartedly on that. There has never, ever been a true commitment to the running game with the Miami Dolphins. No one has ever done it. Not Shula on the back end, not Jimmy Johnson, not Dave Wannstedt. Well, actually, Dave did kind of stick to the running game. It just wasn't productive all the time. And then everybody else has really never developed a real running game year in and year out. We have outliers, but outliers are not. It's like the other day I saw Poupart say that the running game wasn't really the reason why and this and that, and he came up with and I pointed out to him that there were several games that when they dedicated themselves to the run, they didn't have a quarterback. They had Ty Huntley. And then he points to the first 3 games. And the 3 games, that's not us. It's not a sample size. It's not a season. That's not seasons. You need to dedicate yourself to the running game. And this franchise refuses to do it decade in and decade out. It's amazing.
Yeah. And again, I'm talking about, they didn't run the ball well or commit to the run this past season. But I'm talking about trying to free yourself of the dependence on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, whereas the previous 2 years, it was all about them.
That's how you do it.
And but in the passing game only, they threw to the tight end, threw to Achane out of the backfield, or line them about wide. But
no.
But they need that. I do agree. They need that.
Howie Rosen is doing now. Okay, pay attention. What Howie Rosen is doing now is listen to what this son of a bitch is doing. Okay, the quarterback is interchangeable. The head coach is interchangeable. The guys won 2 Super Bowls with different coaches, different quarterbacks, different players.
One of them a backup quarterback.
Bro, Jalen Hurts ain't shit either. He's nothing. All he has to do is make a couple of passes. He's a runner. He's nothing.
He even did miss a couple throws in this game.
Jalen Hurts ain't shit, dude.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying, he even missed a couple throws, and they still blew him out.
Ain't shit. You know what's the shit? The shit is that Howie Rosen figured it out. Dominate on the offensive and defensive lines, run the football, and everything else is interchangeable. You know where he stole that from? Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs created a system that the offense and defensive lines dominated. They constantly ran the ball because the Dolphins were one of their victims in the Super Bowl as John Riggins ran all over their ass. Okay? And guess what? They won with 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks.
That's right.
Okay? And Joe Gibbs was the architect of it. And not one of those quarterbacks will ever go to the Hall of Fame. Jalen Hurts will never go to the Hall of Fame. And Nick Foles will never go to the Hall of Fame. They can buy tickets to go to the Hall of Fame, but they'll never be in the Hall of Fame. They were carried by their teams, and all they had to do was make a couple of throws, and that's it. Howie figured out what Joe Gibbs established a long time ago. Win on the line of scrimmage, run the goddamn ball, and everything else becomes super easy for you. You cannot lead with the passing game. If you want to lead with the passing game, well, then you better have Marshall Faulk. Okay? That's the last team. That's the last team that I saw that went out there with the passing game and a defense that was okay, and they got it done. Why? Because they had that guy back there. That guy was a home run hitter at any time, a threat that the linebackers were just shitting in their pants every time. Does Miami have that? And, well, actually, Miami has never had that in their lives because that's different. Marshall Faulk is at another level. So that's my point, that you got to get back to the basics. It's funny that the people that are winning are doing the same shit the Dolphins did in the 70s. So, bro, wake the hell up. Dominate on the lines and run the ball, and then let Tyreek be more of the complimentary guy. And then you'll be really winning big. That's what I think.
Okay, it is highly important. You need to be able to win up front, and the Eagles do that better than anyone else with their O-line and their D-line combination. They win in the trenches on both sides of the ball. But you can't just sit here and say quarterbacks are interchangeable when we would have been talking, and you even picked Patrick Mahomes to win a three-peat, and he had just won the previous 2, one of them against this Eagles team, another one against the 49ers, also another franchise.
And why did he lose?
Brock Purdy with them to get there. And
why did he lose? And why did he lose?
Why did which one lose? Who?
Why did Pat Mahomes lose?
Pat Mahomes lost in this one. But yeah, the Chiefs were dominated at the line of scrimmage on both sides.
And why did Pat Mahomes lose 3 years ago before the 2 Super Bowls? And he was sitting on his ass constantly in that Super Bowl. Why did he lose?
When he had both his tackles injured and the Bucs pass rushers were able to get after him.
So maybe the quarterback is a little bit more interchangeable.
What, you think the Chiefs would be winning multiple Super Bowls with an interchangeable quarterback?
My point is the problem wasn't Pat Mahomes. Point was that you didn't win at the line of scrimmage the last 2 years. You won at the line of scrimmage. Your team, your offensive line was healthy. It was great. You were dominating with Chris Jones on the line of scrimmage. This time around, you did not dominate with Chris Jones at the line of scrimmage, although you controlled their run game, and you did not dominate on the offensive line. So it didn't matter that you had Superman back there. You made him into Supergirl, unfortunately. That's just kind of the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't matter who you have back there. You can have the greatest quarterback. If you don't win at the line of scrimmage, it makes it impossible for anybody to win, including Tua Tagovailoa, including Dan Marino, who his teams never won at the line of scrimmage. And it's just elementary, dude. And until the Dolphins get back to winning at the line of scrimmage and running the football, which is what Tua had at Alabama, teams that won at the line of scrimmage and ran the football, and he won a national title because all he had to do was pass. He can do that. But if you got to make him do everything else, you're SOL.
Yeah. And also, it's a different story in the AFC to come out of it than the NFC. NFC doesn't have as many great quarterbacks, so that's why in the AFC, yes, you have your Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, who have made all the recent Super Bowls. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, quarterbacks to that caliber still haven't gotten there because it's such a gauntlet to get through the AFC. And you're talking about teams that have both, too, is that they can win up front and they have an elite quarterback. Whereas in the NFC, yeah, like you said, Jalen Hurts, hey, he doesn't have to do too much. And I mean, he does add a lot of value with what he does with his legs. But as far as a passer, he doesn't have to do too much. And he's made two of the last 3 Super Bowls, winning one.
He has to. Jalen Hurts can't live in the pocket. He's not good enough. He has to run. He has to be that because he's not a real passer. That's the problem. He's an athlete playing the position, trying to be a quarterback. So you only need him to hit occasionally a couple passes, and athletes can do that because they're athletes. So they're going to hit a couple passes. But if you dominate like they do at the line of scrimmages, life is beautiful, bro. It's absolutely beautiful, you know?
Yeah. I hope the Dolphins finally figured it out. I think when you heard Chris Grier say, hey, we're going to have to invest in the offensive line, I think he really said that he was taking it to heart and really said it from what he truly believes. So, hey, from his words to their actions, please.
Now the question is, like, I don't believe anything Tyreek will ever tell me, you know, to steal the great Jim Mad Dog. I wouldn't believe Tyreek if his tongue was notarized. Okay. I mean, that's a Mad Dog line right there. I also don't believe in Mike McDaniel whatsoever. I'm done with him. But if you even get the line and you get the running game going, do you have a man that will truly commit to the line, to the running game? Because it's interesting how the guy that was a run coordinator doesn't understand that will make your quarterback and your passing game's life so much easier if you're nice and boring and pound the shit out of the defense with the ball.
Yeah, but haven't had that personnel. The guard. I mean, when you had a great guard in Robert Hunt, but it was going to be too much to keep him around. So yeah, you had 2 starting guards who were previously backups and maybe serviceable as backups when they had to come in, but they previously lost out on competition, and then now they're counted on as starters. So and it's a run game built on the outside zone. So. Not being as physical. So I think, he also is going to have to implement that into how he calls the run game and add some physicality so that then you have that presence when you get into the short yardage situations where the Dolphins have struggled so incredibly in his entire tenure leading the offense and leading the team.
Yeah. So what would you do? You're Chris Grier. You're taking over. You're David Grier. Okay. Right. So David Grier is now the general manager. What must happen this offseason in order for you to, you and Mike McDaniel, kind of save your jobs?
Yeah. You got to solidify the guard positions. So you find one in free agency. There's going to be several options out there. So find yourself a fit. So someone who can run with the athleticism to run the outside zone, but you also need a physical presence now. So I want the line up front to be more physical. You're going to need to find yourself with 10 picks, probably a couple, maybe a few linemen in this draft coming up. You're going to need a couple starting safeties because I'm moving on from Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer. Then, you move on from him, and he might even want to retire in his own right. Backup quarterback is a priority.
So you want Jordan Poyer back, bro? Why would you want Jordan Poyer back? I mean, really, unless Rachel Bush.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you do. Yeah.
I mean, if Rachel Bush wants to do a Dolphins calendar, okay, that's a whole different ballgame. But outside of that, I don't know why you would want Jordan Poyer back.
No, you don't. I'm just saying he might even be in the frame of mind where he retires this offseason from his own perspective. So, but yeah, as the Dolphins, you're moving on and you're finding your safety help elsewhere, but you still need to be economical there. And then you got to create cap space too to make all this happen. So when you look at it, I know we've gone back and forth on the Bradley Chubb post June 1 cut, and I mean that what is it, 19.5 million that you can get out of that. It just looks more and more desirable.
You need a D tackle. You need guards. You need another thumper at linebacker. You gotta in order to get tough, and you can't count on all your rookies to come through like that. That's ridiculous. I don't care how many picks you have. Even if you hit on maybe a couple will help you this year, and maybe even more will help you down the line. But you can't put the whole pressure on the draft class to come through. That's like crazy. You just hope you get a few of them, especially the early picks to come through. But you're going to have to hit on free agency in a big-time way. And the question is, if you're going to want 2 or 3 guys, I can't see you keeping Chubb and getting the 2 or 3 guys in free agency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the key. So that's where Chubb probably comes into the crosshairs and ends up being one of those. We've mentioned Raheem Mostert possibly. Probably.
Let me ask you this. If I was thinking about this, if you're going to go and what you need to do is build up the lines, offense and defense, you need to start dominating in those areas. Okay. Another way you need to dominate is with your run game. You don't really have thumpers. Okay. So you don't really want to do that. So you want to part ways with Mostert. Don't you want to find like a big, more bruising back to kind of add to this offense? So there are moments where you can, pound people with your line and your backs, and then you can shock them with the other guys, with the speed guys, with the Achans of the world and the Wrights of the world, because what you really don't want is to use those guys like hammers, because that's not who it is. Man, I was cringing at the end of the season with Achan. I didn't even want him to play the last couple games, to be quite honest, because I knew they were out already anyway, and that poor kid took a beating this year. He must have been at the acupuncture office every damn day.
Yeah, I hear you. So, you definitely need to take some of that burden off of Achane. Get a physical running back. Now, Jalen Wright, they didn't use him much, and I wonder where he was at as far as just understanding the offense, and also the one time then that you did see him and Skylar Thompson on the field late, and they resulted in a fumbled exchange. And I think it wasn't just Skylar Thompson that was in the doghouse after that. It seems like it was Jalen Wright too. And obviously we saw where Skylar Thompson went after, and Jalen Wright, that he was a rookie that they drafted. It's not like they could just kick him off the team. So, hey, I look at free agent running backs, and if Nick Chubb is out there and he has an injury history, and we know Chris Greer isn't shy about picking up a guy with an injury history, and he's a physical running back, then maybe you can get at a discount. Then why not a player like I'm just spitballing like live right here, just brainstorming as I pop open a list of free agent running backs. So there's a physical presence there. to be had. Najee Harris is also a free agent. Maybe the Steelers go and make a move to keep him. Yeah, or find yourself an economical choice. But running backs don't go for that much anymore. So you can find yourself a quality back and not break the bank.
It's the injury thing. We use it as a crutch here, and it's become obviously a topic because players get injured all the time and all over the place. And you look at it, right? Christian Wilkins, never injured here, played like crazy, goes to the Raiders and gets injured. You know what I mean? It's like Anthony Davis, constantly injured, all last year healthy, this year healthy, traded to Dallas, injured, right back to being the injured player. Okay. Who was the best running back in the NFL this year?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay. Who the hell was injury prone like crazy his first few years in the league?
Yeah, Saquon Barkley.
Because if Miami makes a trade,
Miami
signed Saquon Barkley last year, like the Eagles did instead. You know what would have happened, right? The Dolphins. Oh my God, they signed Saquon. That guy's always injured. Oh, he stayed healthy just for the contract. Well, look what happens. It's just luck of the draw sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't help that your injury-prone quarterback seeks out contact. That would kind of help with Tua. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, dude, know who you are and don't go out and seek contact, you idiot. That's like stupid. That doesn't help. That becomes even more frustrating when you're injury prone and yet you're seeking contact. That kind of stuff. But it is kind of screwy like that a lot of people don't talk about that, especially here in the Dolphin Nation, that a guy like Saquon Barkley was a sack of injuries, bro. And then all of a sudden, look who he is now. The last couple of years, he's been an iron horse and, dude, easily the best player in the NFL.
Yeah. Or if the Dolphins would have made a move for Derrick Henry and then had the utmost physical running back in the NFL to pair with Devon Achane back there. And then, even Raheem Mostert, he was so injury-prone all those years in San Francisco. And then he carries the largest workload he ever did in his career in 2023, passed it very early on in the season and has a career season. And then very next year, what was it, first snap, second touch that he had, all of a sudden is back to being injured and then, was affected all year. And, he's into his 30s now too. So, but coming off his best season in 2023 was when it all just broke down again. So, it's very hard to project. Yeah,
it's crazy stuff. All right, what are you working on the Sentinel so folks can check you out, dude?
Yeah, actually, today I'm going to break down some of the ways that the Dolphins can save money against the salary cap. So with the free agency now within a month from starting, then good time to. We did a little bit of it at the start of the offseason, but now we're kind of like a month removed from that, and then a little bit of a refresher on that, and then gonna try. Oh, actually, later this week I'm going to this F1 Miami Media Day, and I think I'm gonna get to do a hot lap. Apparently, I get to ride in one of the cars for a lap, so that's gonna be fun. I don't know I always say I don't know the first thing about F1, but then I guess I do by now know the first thing, so I don't know the second thing about F1, but I'll try to figure some stuff out because I'll write something from there.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Oh, look out. Pitbull has announced 305 is taking over the 954. Dale. Pitbull coming to Hard Rock Live Thursday, May 1st. Why isn't he performing at FIU Stadium? Oh, forget it. Anyway, follow him on Twitter at DavidFurones _ and, of course, support our friends at Welt Rheaume. If you're looking for lawyers that you can trust me. Jeff and Dan are absolutely amazing. 954-966-4646. David, we will catch up on Friday, my friend. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
no shirt.